In this video, we will cover the 5 biggest mistakes people make time and time again that I see every day with our students, and these are the reasons why you're failing CELPIP speaking. They're simple to overcome. We'll detail them with examples. Let's get started. Now, 4 out of your 8 questions in CELPIP speaking are picture related. So let's say you are seeing a picture like this in part 3 and part 4. In part 3, you would describe what is happening in the picture. Part 4, what happens next. What you want to do right away is pick 3 things that you cannot miss. In this case, for example, these people right here, this is in the main frame. This is in the foreground. This is something I cannot miss. I will talk about it. I will also talk about this guy here because he looks like the second main character, also very obvious. And then maybe I'll pick these 2 girls who are smiling and giggling in the background. These 3 people are things I feel the examiner wants me to talk about because they are right there. But everybody else, if I look at these guys here in the background, they're just in the background. So I can talk about all of them later. Those can be sacrificed, but first you want to decide the 3 things you cannot miss. We do this because of 2 reasons. Number 1, the time runs out and people are not able to talk about the main elements of the picture. Number 2, sometimes people try to do too much. I've seen students talk about this person right here, this person right here, this person in the background. You don't have to talk about everybody. Quantity points are not needed. Quality points are needed. Yes, you can say a sentence like, we also see a lot of people in the background socializing or having fun or having a good sunny morning. Something like that could wrap up everybody, and this goes in your concluding sentence, but it's not a priority. Priority is the people you highlight and discuss in detail. Now let's talk about that. When you discuss people in detail, and this is the second big requirement in these kinds of questions, you want to talk about their qualities too, not just their actions. For example, if I say this person is riding a bicycle coming towards the picture in the front, I will say that, sure. But I'll also say he also looks very calm and looks like he is in no rush. You want to define the adjectives. Why do you want to do this? Because it gives you marks for your range of vocab. It also gives you marks for your task response because now you're describing the picture in more detail. Similarly, if I were to talk about this scene over here, I would say the waiter, for example, is professionally dressed. And you could also say something like he is highly focused on his work. And these things, again, help build that description. You could also say something about the background. It is a bright, sunny morning, instead of you just saying it is the morning time. So make sure to describe it really well and make sure to pick your main elements in every picture question. Part 5 speaking, and this is a big one because a lot of people make a big mistake here. So this is where you have to compare. Let's say we're given these 2 options, movie theater or outdoor picnic. Which one do you select? You're going out for a picnic with a family. Now, if you selected the movie theater and you talked about all your points within the 60 seconds and you did not cover the other side, you are making a very typical mistake that 90% students make, and you're going to lose a lot of marks because of that. This is something you need to overcome. What you actually are supposed to do is in the 60 seconds, talk about everything on your side and also compare it with everything on the other side. But it's hard to do. It's only 60 seconds. How do you do it? Well, that is why you're given a long preparation time here, the longest preparation time among all 8 questions, because you are supposed to look at the common features and the common bullet points with which you can compare your elements with the other elements. For example, see the last part, requires. Let's read this. Movie theater requires you to travel to and from the cinema, while the outdoor picnic requires packaging and carrying supplies. I could say this in one sentence, something like, with the movie theater, the travel is more convenient. It's just driving to and from the cinema. However, if you decide to go with the outdoor picnic, you need packaging and your own supplies, plus preparation of lunch and other things, which is inconvenient. You see how we can say all of this in one sentence? That saves us time and covers multiple points. Before we move on to point number 3, I've had this question a lot of times. Should I do CELPIP, IELTS, or PT Core? I have answered that in a complete detailed video. The link for that is in the description. It'll take you to my other channel where we upload a lot of CELPIP videos. They're more straightforward, to the point. Check out that channel too and subscribe there too for even more tips and tricks and the answer to this question. Now, let's move on to point number 3. Step number 3, and this is a lifesaver, is for you to have connectors that you don't have to think about. You just remember them and they come to you instinctively. Here's what I mean. You need 3 connectors of each type. We'll discuss them in detail, but when you are talking, you cannot really think all the time, what connector or conjunction do I use now? Because you are speaking and you're focused. Hence, there should be 3 main connectors that are in your head for all circumstances that automatically just jump in there. You see how when we're talking, we naturally say and because it's natural. Similarly, instead of that, you want to practice at home some other natural words and phrases, and let's talk about those situations. Furthermore, also accordingly, these 3 are great connectors to use every time you're adding more points, one point after another instead of and, just say these 3. Keep them in your head. But if you are just saying one-worded connectors all the time, there would be a range problem. You have to give the examiner a variety. So what are the phrases or the 2, 3, 4-worded connectors? You have what's more, in much the same way, which is like likewise, or on top of that, when you're adding details. You can use them in combination with the one-worded connectors in order to add more variety. So it's essentially 6 connectors you want to learn, but 3 for immediate use because they're one-worded, and 3 which are slightly longer just to throw in a good range. Now, whenever you're contradicting, especially in parts 5 and other places where you have comparisons, use however, nevertheless, nonetheless. You would always remember them. 3 connectors instead of but, however, nevertheless, or nonetheless. Similarly, when you conclude, overall, therefore, and consequently. It could even be used for the next step. For example, consequently is the next thing, the next stage. Keeping 3 connectors in each type of circumstance helps you remember them quickly without thinking. Problem or mistake number 4 that I see happening with more than 85% of the students, and I do it sometimes myself too. This is a human problem. It is us not finishing the speech or the topic on time. I see 2 things happening. One is you're halfway in the sentence, the time runs out, you lose marks because your sentence is not complete. 2, you did finish the sentence, but this was not the concluding sentence. This was the description. You didn't have enough time to do the conclusion before the time ran out. Now, how to solve this is very simple. Once I started doing this strategy, I preached this like a religion because it really works. All you got to do is have a 5-second buffer. Before the actual finish time, let's say it's 60 seconds, imagine the finish time is only 55 seconds. Try to finish at 55 at all costs. Now, if you do finish at 55, the last 5 seconds of dead space, they are not going to affect your marks at all, unless it's 10 seconds or more of dead space. 5 seconds does not matter. So if you actually finish here, it's perfect. If you don't end up finishing here, you might exceed it by 1 or 2 more seconds, but you will still finish before the 60-second mark. It's still giving you that room and time for your conclusion, which is important for your marks. Number 5 is something you can avoid easily. This is something that I tell people to work on. CELPIP examiners tell people to work on. The examiner marking criteria emphasizes that, and this is for you to simply be natural when you're speaking. CELPIP speaking is different from IELTS and other exams because you are being judged on how you speak in day-to-day conversations. For example, question number 1, question number 5, question 6, question 8. These require you to talk to imaginary people. Now, when you're talking to these people, you are being marked on 2 things. Number 1 is your tone. Are you natural in your volume and expressions? For example, if I am talking to a friend and I'm making a suggestion, I'm going to say something like, I really think these suggestions are going to help you in massive ways. I'm excited to see what you come up with. Let me know. Talk to you soon. Change in volume and expressions. These are your marks for a tone. Don't be robotic here. Similarly, mark number 2 in terms of how realistic and natural you can be is in the content itself. If I'm talking to someone formal, I would use formal wordings. If I'm talking to someone informal, I would say something like, "How's it going? This is awesome. I am excited for you. How are the wife and kids?" I'm going to be more informal there. So the content also has to be natural. But this is easy because you talk like this in day-to-day life. But in the exam, a lot of you forget to do this. Just simply be a human in the exam. Be natural and confident. And that is your last step towards your success in your CLB scores. Guys, if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Also, check out our 15-hour CELPIP Guaranteed Improvement course in the description. Tons of mock tests, tons of lectures, and a money-back guarantee. Talk to you soon.